Hi, I'm Victoria. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to take a look at the second week of October. I hope you have a chance to choose a pile, check the time codes in the description so that if you want to zoom through to your pile number on the time code, then you can do that. You know, we're all on a spiritual journey, whether we realize it or not. And these cards tap into our subconscious energy that allows us to understand from our subconscious, our deepest realm's perspective, where we are. And so that's why we tune into these cards, just to help us understand on the deepest level where we are. And of course, we'll tune into what dream symbols you're probably having as well. So let's get started. We're, of course, here on the beautiful Chartres Labyrinth, which is one of, well, it's my home away from home. When I'm not at home, I can be found at the Chartres Labyrinth in Chartres, France. So I have this beautiful table here of an exact replica, and the first pile that we will be working with on it is our warrior priestess and our emperor, our knight warrior. And this is energy that is dominant, going forward in life, that is fearless, or at least tries its best to be fearless, right? So if you've chosen this pile, hang on, we're about to begin. We also have the spiral, this ancient seashell that is the shape of a perfect spiral, which represents growth. And if you are feeling like growth is what you need to tune into right now, then this is the stack of cards for you today. And then, last but not least, this incredible Quartz Obelisk. Of course, the obelisk draws in all of the energies from the cosmos and brings it in focused energy here. This is such a beautiful piece of quartz. It feels amazing. I wish you could feel it right now because it is almost vibrating with energy. It feels so profound and powerful. So here are 3 stacks today. We'll start with stack 1. We will take the emperor and put him up here so he can watch over us. Of course, I think of him as one of my characters in my urban fantasy series that I write. It's called the Tarot Legacies. And this is Jared Schultz. He's the emperor, right? And then here's Vesta, my beautiful Vesta Beauvais, who is the main character in my Tarot Legacies. And she's the warrior priestess, the high priestess. So they will watch over what we are about to draw with the cards. And we're starting with a rune card. I love beginning with rune cards because they always establish an overview for what the tarot cards will be. So this is from the Book of Runes, the cards that Ralph Blum created many years ago and that I've used for many years. It's very accurate. I love this deck. It's incredibly accurate. And so for this very first deck, what we are pulling is growth. Now, what growth represents in the rune deck is not only the obvious of growth, but it also represents the necessity of taking the time to understand all of the steps necessary as you grow. This is an appreciation for the path that you're on, and not to take any step lightly. Growth represents the necessity of what we go through in everything in our life. Anything that is personal, anything that is professional, anything that is spiritual requires growth. And this is what this card is telling us as an overview, that it is time for us to recognize this development that we are experiencing right now. Where are you in your path? That is the question to ask right now. If you were to ask yourself the simple question of, where am I in my path? Am I at the beginning of some place? We're usually at the beginning of something whether we realize it or not. It can be something small or it can be something large, but where are you? Are you in the midsection of something, a project or a relationship or something that is meaningful to you? Think about that. Are you appreciating where you are if you are in this middle aspect of the growth of something? Or are you ready to wrap something up? Is something getting ready to complete, which is part of our natural process? Let's remember that growth is always a series of birth, living, growing, dying, and then rebirth. This is all part of our natural way throughout the universe. This is how it all works. It's such an elegant system. So for our first card, our rune card, it's growth. And think about where you are if you chose this first deck, because it's going to be very important for you to understand that as we move through the tarot cards. And let's take a look. We're using the Thoth deck today, one of my favorite decks. And the very first card that we choose is the Princess of Cups. The Princess of Cups, she represents emotional freedom. This is energy. Of course, it's gender neutral if you're male and if you chose this first deck. This is representing emotional freedom. This is jealousy conquered, which is also incredibly important to consider with this growth card, our rune card, because perhaps you are on the path where you have reached a point where you have conquered jealousy about something. What is it that you have conquered in that path? What is the emotional freedom that you have achieved at this point? This card says that you either have achieved it or during this second week of October, you are in the perfect position. The opportunity exists for you to turn loose and be emotionally free, turning loose of jealousy and following those desires that feel right to you. This is a perfect card to exhibit those emotions in the second week of October. Let's take a look at the third Thoth card. Well, it's another royalty card. It's the Knight of Swords. This is an interesting card to come up with the Princess of Cups, but it also, to me, makes a lot of sense because the Prince of Swords, this energy is very different from the Princess of Cups. This is energy that is very dynamic. This energy, you can almost feel the forward motion that this Prince of Swords is making. He has this cute little helmet on that has, it's almost like a helicopter, and he's on his horse flying through the air at top speed. He has his sword drawn and pointed outward because he knows where he's going. Again, gender neutral energy. This is energy of someone who knows where they're going. There is a slight caution here that I want to make you aware of if you chose this deck. And that is, this energy can get out of hand if you do not control it, if you aren't aware of it, not only on a conscious level, but a subconscious level. And it's actually more important to be aware of it on a subconscious level because that is the driving force within all of us. We may think it's our conscious mind, what we're doing right now, but honestly, what is driving us is what subconsciously we are feeling and thinking. And that's where dreams come in. And we'll get into that in a little bit with this deck, but with this pile. But it's important for you to understand right now that what we are looking at so far is growth. We're looking at growth happening for you, the potential. If you are unaware of the growth that's happening in your life right now, take a moment and think about where you are. Appreciate all the steps. And if you are aware of where it is, where you are, then acknowledge that you are at a place where you have the perfect opportunity to express emotional freedom. especially in the second week of October. And what this also, of course, is referring to is the release of jealousy about anything. It can be jealousy over a relationship. It can be jealousy over someone having more money than you do. It can be jealousy over someone having a job that you want. This is saying that you have the opportunity to turn loose of that jealousy, and that is a very freeing aspect. That if you have never felt this before, this will change your life. This will change your life. Furthermore, with the Knight of Swords, it's saying that you can redirect your life and move forward with a motivating force that is really unparalleled to anything else that is in the Thoth Tarot deck. This is the energy that is dynamic and moving forward. So let's add to this the third Thoth card. Let's take a look at what we have here. So it's the Two of Cups. It's the Love card. And the way that this fits in with with the Knight of Swords, with the Princess of Cups, and with this Growth card is all of this energy that you are turning loose of, that you are embracing at the same time that you are directing. Do it with a sense of love. Do it with a sense of appreciation. Do it with a sense of relationship that you have either with someone else in your life, that these aspects of growth and emotional freedom and the release of jealousy and the motivation, the dynamic of heading forward on something specific. If it's dealing with someone else, then do it with just an enormous amount of love. That is exactly what is called for here. Of course, it can be directed simply within yourself. This Two of Cups can absolutely represent the love that you have within yourself, the alignment that comes. Two aspects. We are all dual nature, and bringing together, aligning dual aspects of ourselves and understanding how to love yourself, which is so important. If you don't love yourself, then it's difficult for others to love you, because of course that energy, that law of attraction energy, is really profound and is true and is very much a force within our universe. You must love yourself and find the way to love yourself. And at that point, that alignment can happen to allow this growth to happen for you this week. This is a very exciting pile of cards that, if you chose this first pile, this is a beautiful message for you, because there is so much that can happen for you in this second week. So let's wrap it up with the Leonora Carrington, one of my favorite decks. Leonora Carrington was a surrealist artist who was born in England and lived to be 94 years old. And she lived in France and most of her life in Mexico, created amazing paintings and sculpture. And one of the things she created was a major arcana deck, which I'm quite fond of. And so we are using this to wrap up this first stack of cards. And look who we have, the Fool. The Fool comes in to wrap up the message for this very first stack of cards. The Fool is one of my very favorite tarot cards, one of my favorite major arcana in my Tarot Legacies Urban Fantasy series. The Fool, his name is Liam, and he's one of my favorite characters. I absolutely adore him. I feel like he's a real person that I know. He holds a dear place in my heart. And what the Fool energy represents is the Fool knows that he is a soul who has chosen to incarnate in a physical life, to have a human physical experience. And part of having a human physical experience means that you must take risks. So the Fool takes these risks because he understands this is essential in order to live a full life. Sometimes the risks pay off and sometimes they don't, but that's not the point. The Fool understands that whether they pay off or not, it's essential to take risks in your life. Otherwise, you live a very mundane life. You have missed many opportunities in your life that could have paid off. And so to have the Fool card turn up as the final card, if you chose this first beautiful pile, what this represents, if we go back and quickly summarize the growth of the rune card, meaning recognize where you are in your phase, your stage of growth right now. If you don't recognize it, take a moment. Take a moment to think about where you are. It can be in a very general sense, or it can be about something very specific. If there's something that's been on your mind that you feel stagnant with, then that is a really good indicator that this is what you need to pay attention to right now. And so along with this growth card, we have the Princess of Cups, which is all about emotional freedom. This is freedom that is free of jealousy. It's free of being consciously aware of themselves, where they are feeling guilty about something, with that they are not good enough. All of that energy dissipates and is gone. And then of course we have the Knight of Swords, which is very directed energy, whereas the Princess of Cups is all about emotional freedom and flying, as you can see in this beautiful card, that she has taken off and she's flying. The Knight of Swords is very directed. He is on a mission and he knows exactly where he's headed, and he's going there really quickly. So this is saying, from that emotional freedom, from that release of jealousy, find the direction that the goal that you want to head for, because this is the perfect time to be goal-oriented and head exactly for a goal that you have always wanted. And do it with love. Do it with love for yourself. Do it with love for another person, if that is the situation, or the love of a group, an organization, something bigger than yourself. This is pointing in that direction, that it's time to embrace that. And then finally, take those risks. If there is a risk involved, go for it. Go for it. It's time to do that. Otherwise, this is saying you may not hit your target the way that you're wanting to. The opportunity exists for you in the second week of October to take a risk. Maybe it's something you've always wanted. Maybe you're well aware of it, and maybe you're not. But give yourself some time if you're not aware of what the risk might be, and go for it. This is absolutely your opportunity. Now, as far as dream interpretation goes, and if you watch my channel often, you know that I interpret dreams as well as read tarot and rune cards. So I, years ago, learned that dream interpretation uses the same energy that the tarot uses, and that's our subconscious energy. At night, our subconscious takes the stage, just like when the moon moves into the nighttime sky and shines so brightly. That's what is happening when our subconscious mind gives us these beautiful symbols, gives us these beautiful messages, which are our dreams. And when we decipher these messages, these symbols, and put them together into a complete message, we can change our lives. We can eliminate our greatest fears and achieve our highest goals. I have done it myself. I've done this for 30 years, and I continue to study it because I understand the value, and I love helping people decode and decipher their dreams and help them move through what their subconscious minds are desperately wanting their conscious minds to do. That's what nightmares are all about. That's what recurring dreams are all about. So with this first pile, you very well could be dreaming right now, certainly in the second week of October, about being naked in your dreams. And while that sounds very embarrassing to us in our conscious waking life, to be naked in dreams, we've all had dreams like that. That's a very common symbol. And while in our waking lives, being naked in public would be something most of us probably would never want to do, in our dreams, the symbol means something completely different. What it represents when you are naked in public in a dream, it means that you're being open and honest. It means you have nothing to hide. It means that you are representing yourself as who you truly are. And so I would very much think that if you chose this first stack of cards, that you are probably having dreams where you are naked. And understand, think about those dreams. Of course, I always advocate for you to write your dreams down or grab your phone, hit that voice memo button, and start talking immediately when you wake up about what dreams you recall. Even if it's just rapid and doesn't make a whole lot of sense at that moment, you will recall your dreams the moment you wake up much better than you will even 10 minutes later. And so I really encourage you to do that. And if you are having dreams about being naked in public, what else are you dreaming about? Let me know in the comments, because I can help you. Of course, when I work with my clients, it's very much an intense session of an hour of going through details of all of the symbols. But in the comments of today's video, if you are having these dreams about being naked in public, if there's something else that you are seeing, that you are remembering, then let me know, and perhaps I can give you just a general idea of what this dream is meaning for you. So there's the first stack with our beautiful Emperor Jared and our beautiful High Priestess Vesta looking over it, and we'll move on to the second deck. Let's take a look at this stack with the beautiful spiral shell. I love this. My husband and I found this on our ranch many, many years ago on Christmas Day. I knew that this was special when we found it. It was so exciting. Let's put this over here by Sagrada Familia. Actually, both of these images are Sagrada Familia. This is a door, beautiful doorway, and this is the light coming in, shining in from windows on the cathedral. And I took this photo. My husband took that photo. It's beautiful. All right, let's tune in to the second stack. If you chose the second stack with the fabulous spiral, which represents growth, which represents being on the path of growth, let's see what the rune card wants to say. So this rune card, it's defense. What defense means, as you can see, there's something that looks like one of those monoliths that you would see in England that still stand from Neolithic times, like Stonehenge, right? And so here it is. It's a beautiful image. I love this image. But what defense means is that there's probably an obstacle in your path right now. And it's probably something that it's annoying you and that you want to move around. But what this rune card is saying is that this might not be the time to try to push through it. Rather, it might be the time for you to just be patient and allow the time for introspection, right? The time to think about why, if the universe has brought you to a halt on something for a reason. Sometimes, rather than pushing ahead, if we just pause and think about why there is an obstacle there. Is there a reason for that? Sometimes it can be a warning. Sometimes it can be something that is put in our path to make us think about something, reconsider something. maybe understand that there are other options available. Sometimes it's a timing issue too. This rune card defense is saying that this is the opportunity for you to take a breath, a pause, and rather than being annoyed at the obstacle that is in your way, again, this can be something that's physically blocking you from moving ahead financially. This can be something that is blocking you moving ahead in a health matter, perhaps, or in a relationship or a job. Think about, if you chose this second stack, think about what obstacle is present in your life. Certainly the second week in October, right? Think about what obstacle is there, and then the next thought. Think about why it's there. Is it there for a reason? Because this card is saying it's there for a reason, and if you consider it, this is going to be very beneficial to you. The time will be right where either the obstacle dissolves, removes itself, or you're able to easily move it. But this is probably not the time to do that. And what I'm saying is consider why it's there and what you need to be doing rather than pushing through it. If you do push through it, then it may not be beneficial to you. The timing could be way off, or this could be something you could be pushing through to something that you really don't want after all. This card is very much saying, take a break and consider where you are with this obstacle in front of you, because it may be planted there specifically for the reason of helping you. And it could be something that you planted yourself. That's, again, subconsciously, our subconscious driver, right, who's driving the car. It may have planted that there for you, and you are unconsciously trying to push through it because your conscious mind is saying, yeah, it's time for me to keep moving forward, but subconsciously you might have put this in your path. Did you? Take the time to think about this. This is very, very important. I really can't stress it enough, because sometimes these obstacles are gifts. That is maybe something that you've not considered before, but it's something that's very real. And I hope you do think about that. Think about what obstacles in your life the second week of October. And then push a little less, or just stop. Take a pause and be patient to see what happens. And of course, while you have that time, think about other options. Think about where you are. So let's take a look at the first Thoth card to see if we can get a little more insight into this. And boy, do we. Okay, so we have the Nine of Swords. In the Thoth deck, they call this cruelty. And what this refers to is being self-critical. Sometimes being self-critical is a good thing, because we can be objective with ourselves and tell ourselves when we're not what. Sometimes self-criticism is good, is really what I'm trying to say here. In this case, this is not good. This card is indicating that we are being too brutal with ourselves. If you chose this deck, this pile of cards with this defense rune and this Nine of Swords, this is saying you're being too hard on yourself about something. You're criticizing yourself and you're pushing too hard. You need to take a break and stop being so hard on yourself here. There is a reason that you need to take a break. This is not the time to push forward. There is not constructive criticism that is happening. It's almost punishment. You're punishing yourself for something. And consider what that is. Is it something that you feel like you've done wrong? An opportunity that you've missed? Something that hasn't gone the way you wanted it to? Think about what that is and how you're being critical. And also recognize if you're saying, and it's intuitive to me right now, you're saying, I'm not being critical of myself. Subconsciously, you are. And again, you may not even recognize it. We create these things that I call mind ruts. And a mind rut is criticism or a negative thought that we just allow to repeat. It's a tape that just repeats over and over and over. And it can be something that comes to us from childhood, something that is not true, but nevertheless we allow it to repeat, and that rut gets deeper and deeper, like ruts in a dirt road that get created after a rain, that as tires roll through over and over, that rut gets deeper and deeper and deeper till eventually your car will bottom out. So that's the analogy I'll use here. But mind ruts, where we are so critical of ourselves, is what I'm talking about here. It's time for you to stop punishing yourself and take a pause. That's what this defense card is talking about, is you need to take care of yourself. And even though, as I said earlier, sometimes it's good to be very objective and to say, yes, I could have done that better. I mean, that's how we learn. That's how we move forward, by looking at ourselves in an objective, critical way. But this card is saying that you've taken that too far, and back off. Let's take a look at the second Thoth card to see what we have. Yeah, okay. And so it's the Three of Cups. It's the abundance card, and this energy feels so good to me that I'm giving it a little sigh of relief after the Nine of Swords. So, yeah, the Three of Cups is saying, recognize the abundance that you have in your life. Yes, I realize that you're pushing yourself and wanting to keep moving past this obstacle. I feel it for you, but it's also important for you to stop criticizing yourself, because this is not being helpful. This is not moving you forward. This will not move the obstacle that's in your way. Rather, as I was saying about the rune card, it's time for you to be patient and allow yourself to understand what this obstacle is all about. And what this obstacle could represent is it's time for you to be appreciative of where you are. Recognize the abundance that you do have in your life. Because to me, this energy feels like you are pushing yourself really hard. You're wanting to achieve goals. And I admire that. I have goals that I want to achieve, and I push myself to do that. This card, all three of these cards together, are saying, take a break, allow yourself to feel the abundance that you have in your life. You make a list, go for a walk and make a list, or sit in a beautiful place, someplace in nature that you really enjoy, and make a list of all the things that you consider to be wonderful, abundant things in your life. This will go a huge distance in creating emotionally, energetically, a place within yourself where this obstacle will dissolve. As I said earlier, it will move when the time is right. And according to what we're seeing here in this stack of cards, it's necessary for you to stop criticizing and punishing yourself, and instead allow yourself to feel the abundance in your life. This is really necessary energetically for you right now. And then you have the Prince of Cups. Again, another sigh. I'm not even planning these sighs. They're coming because the energy is so amazing with the Prince of Cups. What he's holding is the Grail, the Holy Grail, in his hand. And this means that this is energy that is going for what it desires. This is energy that's focused on achieving its highest goals, energy that's passionate about what it desires. And I see that I completely understand this lovely stack of cards here, because I see that you're driven. I understand that you're driven and you're wanting to reach the goal, whatever it is that you're wanting to reach. There's no way you're going to reach it, though, unless you give yourself a break. This is really important for you to understand. Take that pause. Be patient with the obstacle that you either perceive or will perceive this second week in October. Stop beating up on yourself. Recognize all of the good things in your life, and focus on your desire. Focus on that passion that is present in your life. This will allow, again, that obstacle to move. So let's take a look at the Leonora Carrington Major Arcana card to wrap up this very informative stack. Well, I'm not surprised. It's the Hierophant. So, the Hierophant represents wisdom. This is sage wisdom. This is wisdom that is accumulated from experience. This is learning that never ceases, and when called upon can return that energy by teaching it. That's what the Hierophant represents. The only caution here that I feel intuitively that I need to bring up about this wonderful card is that you can be very dogmatic. This card can represent a dogma where you get stuck in feeling and in a certain way and being relentless, which would definitely go along with that Nine of Swords cruelty card. It can represent not only being relentless, but not being willing to think outside of what you perceive to be the way. I'm putting little air quotes around the way, because there are always options. Everything has many options if you look at it. And what the Hierophant is saying is that it's time for you to bring your inner wisdom, your inner guide here to this situation, that you do know what you need to do. Of course, meditation, prayer will help you bring out the knowledge, the wisdom that's called for here, so that you can take the break. You can pause and be patient with that rune card of defense, and stop beating up on yourself, because I see you're driven here, and I know it's passionate. I know you're passionate about this, and that's good. But you're going about it the wrong way at this moment, and it's time for you to take a break and allow that true passion to come through. You're going to find a different way to approach this. You're going to find a better way to approach a situation, and it's going to come through your wisdom. And it might be wisdom that you need to tap into right now, either through as I said, meditation or prayer, and sometimes just being really physical, getting out and going for a run or a walk or something just allows you to clear your mind. Think about that. But that's what you need to do, is find that inner guidance. Allow that to come through to help you right now, because you really do need it. I see that you do need it. There's a lot of emotion happening here with you. And this energy, if you channel it correctly, is going to help you move forward in a dynamic way. As far as dreams go, are you dreaming of mountains or going up a hill? Are you dreaming of climbing over rocks, going on a hike? This would be very common for you in the second week of October. This is these dreams, of course, these symbols relate to obstacles, which is what the defense rune is all about. So it represents us needing to conquer something, having an obstacle in our way. So you very well could be dreaming about mountains or things that you're having to go up in order to get to the top of. There could be several things. It could be even stairs. But think about what your dreams are containing these days, and you absolutely are dreaming about this, and this is being represented in your subconscious. So that is our second very energetic, dynamic group of cards. Let's move on to our third stack. with this beautiful quartz obelisk, we draw in all of the energy of the universe and have it stored right here for us to use as we need to, as we judiciously need to use it. So if you chose pile 3 of these cards, then wonderful choice. We're going to set it right here by the spiral in front of the windows at Sagrada Familia. And we're going to take a look at the first rune card. We have partnership. This is a very profound card. Partnership, of course, is what we all would first think of partnership, of a partnership and alignment with someone else, be it a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a lover, whoever, right? But this rune goes much deeper than that. This rune says that a partnership is at hand. And so the second week in October, you may know the partnership that is present in your life. And if you don't, you will know. There is partnership coming. Of course, partnership can represent you with another person. It can represent you aligning with something like a company, a group. It can also represent your alignment within yourself. The caution here with this beautiful rune card of partnership is that you not allow yourself to collapse into this relationship entirely. Don't lose yourself in this relationship, whatever it is. That it is only when 2 people or 2 entities, 2 factors come together as separate beings that then find the alignment, the partnership alignment. Only then do you have a healthy partnership. This rune card represents wholeness, and wholeness because you are coming as your entire self and not allowing yourself to be diminished by being in a relationship with someone or with some other entity. This is very important. This rune card is explicit about this, and I love the fact that's one of the reasons why I love using this rune deck, because it goes so deep as it relates to who we are on just this incredibly deep subconscious psychic level. Stay whole as you are going to be engaged in a partnership in the second week in October. So let's take a look at the first Thoth card. Well, it's the Prince of Swords. Swords, of course, represent intellect. And here, the Prince of Swords is all about cutting through entanglements. You can see his sword is raised. He has it pulled back over his back, because the next motion, he's going to send it through these entanglements that he sees in front of him, creating clarity. He's going to clear away anything that is standing between him and clarity. And of course, it's gender neutral, but this is energy that says it's time to clear away anything that is keeping you from seeing clearly. As this relates to this partnership card, what it sort of changes, it's adding to the depth of what the partnership card represents, because this tells me that you might be involved in a partnership right now. And listen very closely to this, because intuitively I'm getting big pings off of this. So it's really important to understand that if you are in a partnership right now and you do feel like you've lost yourself, that you are not being true to who you are and being the whole person that you are, that it's time for you to get some clarity in this relationship. This is vital. Drawing this card, I see that this is not just perhaps the start of a new relationship with this partnership rune, but that it can represent a relationship that's currently happening, and that there may be the necessity of clarity right now that needs to happen for you. And I can't overemphasize how important it is that if you do feel like you have that you are not representing yourself as your true fabulous self, then it's time for you to do that. That it's time for you to cut through the entanglements, just like the Prince of Swords is doing, and get the clarity that you need that makes you feel whole. There is no greater goal in our lives than for us to be functioning at our highest potential, to contribute what we are here, that only we can contribute in this life. That, I believe, is our mission. And everything, only we can contribute what we are here to contribute. And if we're not whole, we can't do that. So if you feel like you are lost in a relationship, again, with another person or within an organization, a job, then it's time for you to reassess and get clarity on this. It is absolutely time. Let's take a look at the second card. So it's the Princess of Swords. This is dynamic energy because we had the Prince of Swords and now we have the Princess of Swords. Her energy resonates with clarity also, but she has a rebellious nature. The Princess of Swords is all about breaking rules and wanting to be rebellious and test boundaries. This is also where you are right now. You know, this is very interesting to me because it's almost like a story that is evolving as I lay these cards out, because first it was the partnership of you either beginning a partnership or being involved in one, and then it evolves into you needing clarification to be really clear about where you fall within this partnership, and maybe where the other partner is as well. You need some clarity is what this is saying. And then furthermore, as we have pulled the Princess of Swords card, what this is also saying is that you're going to approach this with a little bit of a rebellious nature. And what I mean by that is that you're going to push those boundaries within a partnership. Does this allow you to find out who you are? Is this moving you along the road of feeling whole about who you are? Because sometimes partnership only evolves to the highest point that we can be at when we allow ourselves to push that boundary, to really be who we truly are and embrace it. And a lot of us were raised with the admonition that we are supposed to be always nice and courteous to others, and that we always compromise. And, Karl Lagerfeld, the great fashion designer, has a quote. He was quoted as saying something that I'll always remember. He said, "I will make sacrifices, but I will never compromise." And I thought about that for a while before I really understood what he meant by that. And that, yes, you can make sacrifices in situations, but you don't compromise who you are. And I think that that's what this card is saying. I think that that's what all three of these cards together, this is the story that's unfolding here, is that with this Princess of Swords card, the rebellious nature of this energy is saying that you can make a sacrifice in a relationship, a partnership, if you feel like you need to. But don't compromise who you are. Don't turn loose of being the whole person that you are. It's really essential that you maintain that. Let's take a look at the third Thoth card and see what we have. Wow, it's the Ace of Discs. This is one of the most powerful cards in this deck. This represents success, internal and external success. This represents new beginnings and the beginning of something that is going to be incredibly successful for you. This story keeps unfolding. I love it when it does that. As an author, I love it as I see these stories unfold, these plot lines take life, because here we are, partnership, alignment with either yourself or someone else or an organization. But in that partnership, it is necessary for you to cut through the entanglements that you are currently feeling in this partnership. And if you aren't feeling them, take a second look. Give yourself some time to think about it. Again, subconscious energy comes into play here, because subconsciously you could be feeling this entanglement. And certainly we'll get into that in just a moment when we talk about dream symbols. But consider the entanglements here, because you need some clarity. And then with the Princess of Swords, this is further saying, yes, clarity is essential here, not just necessary, but essential. And take it to almost take it to a pushing the boundaries sort of place, because that is what the Princess of Swords is doing. She's pushing the boundaries here. I mean, she is cutting through to gain clarity, and she is pushing the boundaries. And then on top of that comes the Ace of Discs, the beginning of something new in your life. This is like a breakthrough. This is a breakthrough card saying that something new is going to begin, that is going to bring you internal and external success. This is a fantastic pile of cards here. What an incredible spread. This is dynamic energy here for you in the second week of October, and I hope that you really understand the dynamics that are in play here. So let's wrap up our look at the cards by checking out the Leonora Carrington Major Arcana card. I'm not surprised. It's the High Priestess. And so what the High Priestess, of course, says is that use your intuition here. It's time for you to tune into your intuition. She's often called the Mutus Liber, which in Latin means silent book. And the reason she's called Mutus Liber is because she knows things that cannot be spoken. Of course, that's my beautiful Vesta here. And she represents energy that trusts what its inner guidance is saying. So the Hierophant and the High Priestess, they're next to each other, or close together in the Major Arcana with each other, and they represent really very much the same energy of trusting your inner guidance. The High Priestess, of course, recognizes things that appear just below the surface. And what I mean by that is things can appear one way, and yet they're not really that way. And the High Priestess intuitively understands that. And so, to wrap up what we are looking at here, with this partnership card, this rune card, is clearly talking about partnership. Again, with you with someone else, you within yourself, alignment within yourself, you with an organization, alignment with a job, or with a group. And the necessity within that partnership to get clarity, and clarity that pushes boundaries until you feel like you have arrived at that place where you feel whole, where intuitively you understand this is really who I am. And don't be afraid to do that. Never be afraid to express who you truly feel like you are. That is the greatest gift that you can give yourself and others, is to feel whole within yourself. And that is exactly what you are called upon to do in this second week in October. This is a dynamic spread for you. And then with the Ace of Discs, it's saying, yes, you're going to have success with this. Yes, success is assured when you do this. It's internal and external success, and it is the beginning of something amazing. And that along in this process of gaining this clarity, use your intuition, trust your intuition, allow that High Priestess within you. Of course, it's gender neutral. Allow that intuitive guidance within you to trust it, because it will take you where you need to be. Now, if you are dreaming of water, being underwater would be my guess. Are you underwater, or do you feel like you're drowning? Are you having dreams right now where you feel like you're drowning. That would be a clear indication of exactly what is going on in this spread. This is saying it's time for you to get very clear about who you are, because water represents conscious life experiences when we dream. Now, if you're breathing underwater just fine, and you're swimming around looking at all of the beautiful aquatic life underneath the ocean that you're swimming in, or the lake or swimming pool or whatever body of water you're in, then this means you're functioning well right now in your waking life, that you are dealing with life's experiences well. And congratulations for that, but you still have some work to do. So large bodies of water where you're swimming, and as I really feel like you would be underwater at this point, or going swimming and maybe being afraid of going underwater. Water would be playing into what you're dreaming right now. And again, for all of these spreads, if you are having dreams with these symbols in them, you can talk to me in the comments. And while I can only give you general information about them without having a one-on-one dream interpretation session with you, which we can do, and the information about how to book a session with me at victoriabelue.com will be in the description. But generally, I can just give you a quick idea of what that dream might be symbolizing to you, and I'm happy to do that. So that would be where we are in the second week of October, moving toward the wrapping up the end of the year. We will have another reading for the third week in October coming up in a week. And in the meantime, think about which pile of cards you chose and the work you have to do, because you have work to do in all of these, but it is all work that will take you further on your soul journey, which is what, again, we're all on. This is why we're here. And once we understand and move ourselves along the course of our soul journey, we're able to contribute as only we can, and contribute at our highest potential. And I thank you so much for tuning in today.